So I put together some questions. Just I mostly what I want to learn from you guys is, just about how you got started, what you're currently doing, all that kind of stuff. The whole goal is for me to capture your story, all the things that you've done throughout the escape room's lifetime. Sounds like you guys have been doing this for a long time. Cool. So yeah, I think I saw that you guys started in 2014. But prior to that, what was it that introduced you to the world of escape rooms, and what's captured your attention about them?
Well, in 2010, we bought a fun park with go-karts and bumper boats and mini golf. It had, I don't know, 15, 16 different activities. Those were the big ones. In 2013, friends of ours got a hold of us and said, "Have you heard of an escape room? They just opened one up in Des Moines." Our fun park was up in Park Rapids, Minnesota. But we maintained our home in Iowa because fun parks only open in the summer. So we told our kids that if we bought it, we would keep them in school where they were in school and let them finish there. So we maintained our home in North Central Iowa. So the escape room that we played the first time in 2013 was in Des Moines. I forget the name of the company, but they're out of Milwaukee. And so we played their room, one of their rooms, and it was like I've never done drugs, but it was a CIA base. It was actually in the old CIA building, or an FBI building, FBI building in Des Moines. And we punched in the code to get out the door, and it flashed red, and then the timer went off simultaneously. And I said, the gal came in, the game master came in, and she said, "Oh, you were so close." I said, "Wait a minute." And I had two numbers inverted. I said, "It's this, isn't it?" And she said, "Try it." I punched it in, and it worked. It was like a hit of, like I said, I've never done drugs, but it was like what I picture as your first hit of cocaine or something like that. I mean, I was hooked immediately. So we said on the drive home, like, we're going to do this.
Well, we had a 3,500 square foot gift store at the fun park, and nobody buys gifts anymore, and we needed
Uh-huh.
to do something with that space. So it worked out perfect.
Yeah. So we converted gift store space we did our first escape room, and Barb was searching around for the key, and she happened to run across a PBS special on FDR had a bunker under New York City, under Grand Central Station, 13 stories below ground. So we watched that special, and we knew instantly that was going to be our first theme.
Nice.
So we built that one. Then we built the second one. Then we built the third one.
And then we started over and built 3 new ones.
Then we started over and built 3 new ones, converting them over. The environment there was that the same families come back year after year. They have either a cabin there, or they have the same week at a resort there, or whatever. So we knew we needed to have a fresh game every year for them. Plus, we started seeing that we were afraid that we were going to cannibalize business from the fun park, but we found out that wasn't true. They just added it on, and we found that not only would they add one, they would add 2 or 3. So we needed to pretty much have 3 new rooms every year to satisfy the demands of the families that were coming.
Wow.
So in 2018, we still had the fun park, and we're cruising along. And in the winter, I was having coffee with a friend, and she said, "I'm on my daughter's after prom committee, and they would love to have something other than a hypnotist or magician for after prom." And I said, "Well, I could do an escape room." I thought her daughter went to the local private school that had class sizes of about 30 or 40. And she said, "Great." 180 to 200 kids at prom, and we said, okay, so she goes to the public school. Yes, she does. Our other daughter went to the private school, but she goes to public school. So we're like, at that time, the only mobile road skippers that we knew about were in a trailer or pop-up games. And we knew that either one of those were going to be something that we were going to be satisfied being provided. You know, we're going to be. We've always been pretty protective of the experience, making sure that it's a good experience, especially since a lot of people didn't know he said escape room in 2015. Nobody ever talked. And so we knew that neither one of those were going to do it. Actually, Barb came up with the idea of, hey, let's build a room inside of the school. And that way we can build more than two. So we built two right off the bat. And we added a third one almost right away. In 2000, we continued with that. We only did a few events that year because we still had Fun Park summertime. In 2020, we sold the Fun Park and kept the mobile skate park. And 2020, of course, was a tough year for escape rooms, but we didn't have any rent to pay.
Yeah.
So we fared better than most. And after we sold the Fun Park, it just exploded in 2020 and 2021. Late 20 and 21, it just exploded on us. I won't bore you with all the details, but from there we've gone to we remained based in Iowa and Minnesota mostly.
To start with, we only had 3 mobile rooms.
Yeah, start with that. But then we started expanding, adding more rooms, adding more teams of people that work for us as far as game masters. And now we've expanded. Flash forward, we're now cover all the parts of 12 states. Got about 13 or 15 teams of at least 2 game masters per team. And we've also still design and make all of our rooms. Because when we started at 14, we had to. There was no industry to hire someone to make a room for us, so we were forced to do it ourselves. So we've just been comfortable always doing it ourselves. With our designs, usually we'll toss around ideas that agree on our team, but she usually takes and runs with it, and I will make some of the props and things for it. But she's kind of in charge of driving force behind the building of themselves. And so we have 26 rooms in inventory right now. And we're building number 27. And so our most recent expansion, we have a team in Oklahoma City that covers about a 3-hour, 4-hour radius from Kansas City, or from, Oklahoma City. So into Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, North Texas area. And we're hoping to develop a team. It looks like we're going to be able to develop a team for the Dallas-based area that we're covering the north and south here. And so growing as it naturally makes sense. And our game masters aren't just people that we run an ad and hire. They're all
Personal
contacts for people that we trust. So that's kind of how we started from the beginning and where we're at right now.
So to give you a little insight on our rooms, when we had the Fun Park, we were on our second version of the FDR bunker. It was so popular, we didn't want to get rid of that theme, but we made a second version of it that was completely different. And we had people that would come from California or Vegas or whatever, where there's these really extravagant escape rooms. They ranked that room at one of their top 5.
All right.
So we had an entire wall that moved in that room.
Wow. And this is still in a mobile room, right?
No, that was a permanent room.
That was the permanent.
Okay. Got it.
Now we do have the FDR bunker is a mobile room for us.
The first version, the very first room that we built is now a mobile room.
Got it. Okay.
But it has a wall that moves as well.
That's
Even
impressive.
though we're mobile, we're still able to have them throw a few surprises in there and have some things that take people off guard.
One of the things that, like, you know, it's mobile, so it's got to be a little different. We can't have all the electronics and everything in the floors.
Yeah.
And the walls and the ceiling, but we do different things. So like one of our rooms is a toy collector, and in that room, to open something, you actually have to drive a little remote control car so that it can push things around and uncover how you get your next lock open.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, you know, we one of the challenges is to try to come up with something fresh and new.
And we know that that's a good idea because we've had other people copy us now.
Well, so our very first year in 2014, in 2015, we had some people play our FDR bunker, and they said, got done and said, well, did you enjoy the experience? And they said, no. I said, why? What happened? They said, all you did was copy the people in Fargo.
Oh.
I said, hang on a second. They're new this year. We've been open 2 years. Who copied who?
Yeah.
Who copied whom here? And we went back and looked it up, and we found the picture, the post-game picture that was big at the beginning. And yep, there they are. There's the people that opened and copied us, like almost verbatim.
Wow.
And so we recognized right away that if I want somebody to play my game and be excited about playing my escape room, the guy down the street better do a good job with his escape room. Because otherwise, if they don't have fun at that one, they're not going to want to come and play mine, and vice versa. So it needs to be original, it needs to be fresh, and it's something that we knew right away that it's an industry that's going to depend on each other to do well, but that you can't just copy. You got to be original. So yeah, and we actually helped somebody in the Mankato, Minnesota area that they played twice in a row. We're like, hey, you realize it's the same game, right? Yeah, but to be honest, we own a building and we want to open one. So we're like, great, here's what you need to do. You know, so we kind of mentored them and helped them get theirs.
That's awesome. And you don't have any stationary rooms anymore, right? It's all mobile rooms now.
Right.
Only mobile rooms. Yeah, we sold the fun park. We learned the lesson from afar. Don't have a big lease payment on an escape room because could be the death at the end.
Sure. Yeah. I think what's really cool is that some of your rooms, like the FDR one, are historically accurate, right? It sounds like that came from just your interest in the area. Are there other historical ones that you like? I guess, is that part of your audience? I saw that you work with some educational groups and things like that. So is the historical accuracy important for those groups?
Yes, and we do a lot of schools. Since 2022, we've been doing kids' rooms. One of our game masters has a degree in child psychology, and she helped us go through and say, okay, kids can do this. They probably won't be able to do that. And so we created rooms that are specific for 3rd to 8th grade, where they can do those rooms without an adult in the room with them.
we give them traditional game master help, but other than that, we can put a group of third graders in, and if they don't need any hints, they can make it out.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and
we're actually on our way to go do one of those right now.
Yep, that's why we're on the road today. Is we've got one early. We set up early morning tomorrow.
Wow.
Actually, we set up two. That's one of the things that I didn't mention that gives us flexibility with the mobile is in building inside. If you build a trailer, these trailers are $60,000 and up.
And you can only usually run 6 people in them.
Yeah, you're limited to the number of people. I mean, they have their advantages. They can do some things that we can't do, but we can put more than one in. We've had our biggest couple, depends on how you contact or, how you look at qualify your biggest. We had a prom and after prom where we had 4 rooms it was all night long. They let the underclassmen play and stuff, but we had about 450 players play in one night.
Wow.
All evening and into the early morning hours. We've had 5 rooms up at one time. That's probably our most rooms at one time. That was 2 companies that were merging. And not only were they not, usually you hear merger, somebody's getting fired, right?
Yeah.
On this one, they said, no, not only are we not firing anybody, we are going to be hiring more people. So we want everybody to get along and be introduced in a fun way. So they kept everybody separate. They did 5 rooms for 5 days for 5 hours a day, where they would bring the same departments in that were going to work together on Monday. On Friday, they played an escape room together. So the accounting departments came in, had never met each other, put name tags on, threw them into a room. Now they're on the same team with a common goal, and they came out as best friends. Mm-hmm. So, that gives us the way we do it, the way we set up with rooms built inside of your facility, that gives us the flexibility to bring the number that we need for the size of the event.
But so like some of our rooms, just to give you a background on how we do some of them historically, in Montana, we have a gold mine room, and we actually went to 2 different gold mines and did our research to see what they used, how they used it, and how we could incorporate those items into an escape room. And so we don't have typical electronics like you'd find in an escape room, as far as we can't, put in wiring and all that. But in that room in particular, we made it so that it's got a a mobile toolbox, on wheels, like a
snap-on toolbox type of a thing.
Yeah.
And we put all the electronics in the bottom part, and then you still have to use a code or something to be able to open that cabinet. So it was still electronic. It's all in that cabinet. And we also have our submarine. The Hornet's Nest is a submarine room, and that one we went to Little Rock, Arkansas, and did our research because they have a working World War II submarine in the river there
called the USS Razorback. It was built late World War II and served also in the Cold War. So when you walk into that, we took pictures and had custom walls. We built custom walls, so when you walk in, you're actually seeing the submarine, the USS Razorback, when you walk in.
And in that room, we used like a storage tote that's on wheels, or a storage trunk, and we put all of the electronics in those trunks, and then put RV ports on the back so that they just get plugged in, and the people playing the room can't see that. But we open them up, and it looks just like all of the electronics and everything in the submarine.
You open it up, and here's a dashboard that looks like, here's the radar. There's one that's a radar station. There's one that is, you plot a course.
And it's got a lighted screen on the bottom, and the lights shine through the plexiglass, and they have to actually map their course using submarine mapping tools.
Wow, that's awesome.
So 3 of the best compliments I think we've ever got were our missile silo that we had at we actually built it custom for a museum that we've been going to. This will be our eighth year coming up next winter. A Minuteman missile silo. We built it for them, but then we put it in the fun park. We had a guy that served on the Missileer as a Missileer in Duluth, and he played it and said, this is exactly, he gave me flashbacks. And then he signed the door that each Minuteman missile silo had a custom door that was funny. And he signed the door because he said it's fantastic. We had somebody who served in a submarine who said our submarine one was just like it. And then we had somebody that worked in a new gold mine in Montana, or, a modern gold mine in Montana underground. And he said, yeah, this is just like what it's like underground working in our gold mine right now.
And wow. The gold mine room is actually in like domed tents. And so we went and took pictures, and then we sewed all of the custom tapestries onto the tent frame. So you really get a full enclosed tent that has the ceiling and everything that looks just like you're in the gold mine.
Wow. I love that aspect of it. The accuracy to real world type things definitely seems like one of your unique offerings that I don't see in all the escape rooms that I play.
Yep.
Given that you guys go out to places, so like either corporate or schools or whatever, most of the time, I love escape rooms, so I go out to them and I love every one of them for the most part because I just love puzzles and things like that. But I know there's in the people I talk to, there's some people who just get frustrated or, they're not good at sort of sideways thinking or whatever. And, given that you're going out to places where you're going to see a wide variety of people, do you see people like getting frustrated or things like that are, because of the kind of markets that you serve, or like what kind of feedback do you get that is around people, or what could you tell people that to look for and behave like in an escape room that would help them not be frustrated?
Well, my theory is that if it's not a little bit frustrating, it's not challenging enough for you.
Sure.
So you should experience or expect a little bit of frustration. But there's good frustration and bad frustration, and that comes from good game flow and bad game flow.
We've played a couple of games at different locations that we were seriously frustrated because the game flow itself made no sense.
Mm-hmm.
Automatic clues that popped up on the screen that we were already past that point and caused confusion. So there's a difference between I should be stretched mentally on getting through it. Now, still, particularly because we're working with a lot of young kids, we need to make sure that we're providing a good first experience.
But as far as the being frustrated, that's where when we use baby monitors to watch the players in our rooms,
mm-hmm.
because they're mobile.
Set up quickly.
And we kind of watch if they're getting a little frustrated. We will do things where, if they need a free hint, we make them do things like, if at all possible, we relate a question to the room. So if they're playing the FDR bunker, we ask them, what was his wife's name or something like that. Or we can do things if there's nothing really relevant. We just say, can you do the chicken dance? And then we record it, and it's funny.
Our emphasis is fun.
Yeah.
I tell organizers, there's a couple things that we do. I tell organizers, number one, that it's not an IQ test and it's not a job application. We're there to have fun.
Yeah.
And especially since we just came off of after prom season, like after prom and after graduation party season, where
we just finished on Wednesday.
We had
28 different events in different cities in a month and a half.
And I tell people, the organizers, the parents that are organizing it, we say, listen, if it's difficult at 2 in the afternoon, it's going to be impossible at 2 in the morning.
Right.
So we just want to have them have fun. So whenever we build a new room, we only run it ourselves for the first dozen times or more. We don't hand it off to another team until we know, we watch, we see where there's appropriate levels of frustration. We watch, and for the most part, well, we have 26 rooms in inventory, but how many have we designed overall?
We've designed about 32 rooms total.
So compared to designing our first one, when there was no blueprint for escape rooms, we can anticipate and eliminate all the original problems that we dealt with back in 14. So it's a lot easier for us from the game flow and the fun aspect of things. It's a lot easier for us to build now. Now the challenge is coming up with something different.
Mm-hmm. And so who do you find is your biggest kind of customer? Is it schools? Is it corporate events? Is it very, even across the board?
It varies by season.
Okay.
Like spring, summer is 100% schools. I mean, we are.
Well, spring is after prom and after graduation.
And summer are really booked with school events for summer school, not summer school, but schools that do like daycare for kids that don't go to regular daycare.
Yeah. A lot of community ed in this area have programs where you still drop your kid off like they're going to school, but
summer camp or whatever they call it. But, and then in the fall, we get more into the corporate stuff because a lot of businesses do after summer corporate team building events.
Okay.
And then Christmas season, we do holiday parties. So it kind of flows that way, where starting in March all the way through August, part of September is schools. And then from there, we do mostly corporate events.
And fairs and festivals and rodeos have become a big thing for us too, which we didn't really anticipate, and we didn't really actively go after that market. It just kind of happened and worked out for the most part pretty well. Every once in a while, we'll be at a fair that's not environmentally controlled, so it'll get a little warm sometimes, or humid or things like that. So
you talked about. I was going to say, you talked about that wasn't an area that you particularly went after. Maybe they approached you. Like, how are you getting the word out about you guys, given that you're now in 12 states and you have a wide variety of places that you can offer to?
So in Minnesota, there's a company called Field Trip Adventures, and we get a lot of business from that because they're established and we just joined and we're a member, and we go to 2 different expos a year, and all the schools and community events and senior citizens, and there's quite a few different things that go to those expos.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're in sort of the same type of thing in Oklahoma and Texas. They have a field trip directory for those locations. And then we do some, YouTube and Facebook and Instagram marketing. And then for like the after prom season, that's not always run by the same groups every year. So we have to send out postcard mailers for those, and they go to the school, and then it gets to whoever.
We send the school, and then the school puts it in the mailbox for the parents.
And the deal with that is now in the Iowa, Minnesota market, we don't really even have to send out postcards anymore, because last year we were completely booked by the end of December.
Yeah,
that's great.
One of the things that we did was we had to cut back and start saying no, and that's against our nature to say no. But we had our best worst weekend. We had 4 after proms on Friday night.
Oh my gosh!
Packed up, moved, and had 7 on Saturday.
at 7 different locations.
4 different locations and 7 different locations.
And
Wow.
so each location averages 2 rooms per event.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we average about 2.3 rooms across the board in a season per event. So our niche there has become small schools that they can't go to an escape room by driving down the block. You know, they're 2 hours from an escape room.
Okay, yeah.
And the big thing with doing the schools now for the summer programs is they have restrictions on how much it's going to cost to bus you anywhere. So like one school was telling us that they have to pay $2.50 just for the insurance part to take each kid off campus.
Wow.
So you bring 100 kids off campus, you know, you're paying $2.50 per kid plus the bus.
Mm-hmm.
One teacher told us it was $600 to bus in town, and we're talking not a very big town.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
You know, by the time they buy any insurance and bus the kids, we're already competitive with our prices.
Yeah.
And plus, they don't have to go anywhere. No chaperones. They walk down the hall.
They don't have to worry about a school lunch.
Yep, they don't have to worry about lunches. You know, I mean, so there's a lot of advantages to having an inbound field trip like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Right. Yeah, so I guess that's kind of interesting. I'm still seeing, obviously, I'm in California, so we have a lot of escape rooms here. And, you know, from what I can tell, the escape room industry is growing, you know, tremendously right now. Like you said, I think there's still people who don't know. I met someone just the other day who hadn't ever been to an escape room, and I was kind of talking to him, and he was just going to do, on my recommendation, he was going to go do one with his family in like the next week or so. So like still find those people too. And I'm always, you know, baffled that that's a thing. But are you guys seeing any sort of trends in that industry? Like, are there people that you follow, I guess, to get inspiration for escape rooms and stuff? Or is it just because your room seems so true to life? Or is it just your experiences with the world that kind of give you those ideas? Or where are you getting some of that inspiration?
Well, our process has always been, let's come up with a reason why somebody would be locked in a room or what a common goal is. And then go from there, you know, like our Blackbeard bounty, you know, I don't know what you want to call it, stereotypical, you know, prisons and pirates are 2 of the most common themes for escape rooms.
They're also our most requested.
Yeah.
Mm.
And they're popular for a reason. They make a really fun game, particularly for people who have never played. So, you know, it just.
The biggest thing is we kind of come up with, okay, we're going to do a Old West room. So we have an 1889 jail, and everything in it is authentic to that time period. So there's no funny combination locks or 4-digit locks. There's keys. We have a Morse code system in there that is actually built into the wall that we bring in. And so at the end of the game, they have to do Morse code into the actual Morse code machine to get the door to open.
The actual telegraph machine. We like on that one, we watched a lot of Gunsmoke and old West movies, and to come up with ideas of
what would be in that room.
I mean, if there's no combination locks, what are we working with? You know, so I mean, that's part of the fun, part of the challenge of doing it, but it can be tough sometimes.
So like one of the newer rooms that we have is called the Missing Mascot, and it's all sports. So we took a whole bunch of sporting things and put them all together. So your first step is a baseball thing, and it'll lead you through some of it where you have to do scoring for baseball. And we have all the directions, so you don't need to know any prior things. Mm-hmm. And then from baseball, it'll lead you on to the next step, but the next sport, yeah. So it also has hockey in it. And so we actually use an air hockey table in that room. And then it's got a mag lock that opens underneath and something falls out on their feet that's super light. So
when you put the paddle in the right spot, it trips.
Sure.
And so for that one, we still incorporate electronics also. Well, most of our rooms now, but the inspiration for that room was, what is our mascot? And then we go from there. So our mascot in that room is a panda.
Nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, the inspiration can come from different places.
And we go to a lot of secondhand stores.
Yeah. That's the thing, is we don't make, like, if we want an Old West room, we don't make a fake saddle. We just go and buy a saddle.
Right.
You know, and that's where I think a lot of the fancier high-end California, Las Vegas, Orlando rooms, they're so concentrated on, let's make it look like a movie set, that just make it real.
Yeah. I think that's definitely one of, again, I keep hearing it over and over when you guys talking about, that is something that I don't see in all the escape rooms that I go to. Very few of them, in fact. It's definitely one of your unique selling points, is that realism that you bring to the rooms. So that's really cool. Do you, because you're mobile, one of the things I've been thinking about a lot with escape rooms is, you know, when you have a brick and mortar and you've got, let's say, the room for 2 rooms in there, but you don't have room for another one, you know, like you said before, at the amusement park, you had to constantly come up with new rooms to be there, because people would come back over and over. Right. And the idea that I've been thinking about a lot is, if you have just 2 rooms, how do you constantly keep those rooms fresh for you know, returning customers and things like that? Because, you know, once you've put so much effort into building, like you said, all the electronics, all the interactive things that are all interconnected, it becomes hard to change those things. And given that you're an all mobile room, it seems like you might have a better ability to adapt a room to a different storyline using maybe some of the same mechanisms, but exactly. you have the ability to, like, world build a little bit more.
Well, part of the reason why we have 26 rooms is because we don't need to get rid of that. We can move it to a different market.
Yeah, that's true.
But you're right. So, like, our toy collector room, with a few modifications, becomes our Christmas room.
Okay, yeah.
So that's how we can do that. And then we can just switch it right back to being the toy room when we want it to be, too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we don't have to shut down a room so that we can, you know, remodel it, and it's going to be out of circulation for the next 6 weeks while you put in a new room. You know, we don't have those kind of limitations. What we do is, when this room has played out its life expectancy, and we need to do something different in this market, we can move it to Montana, or we can move it to Texas, or we can move it, you know. So it can have another life somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that's something that in the fun park we didn't have to worry about shutting down, because we were in northern Minnesota, so we were closed in the wintertime. So we could build it in the off season, and then when everybody showed up starting in May, they had a new one or two to play. So so we never really had to deal with that. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you mentioned lifespan for your rooms, and given that you work with 3rd graders, I imagine some of your props have to be pretty durable. Is there anything that, you know, you figured out about building those things that helps them have a longer lasting time?
3rd graders are nice. It's the adults.
It's the adults that are worse.
That's true. I've heard that also.
But yeah, we do. When we look for things, since it has to be mobile, we don't have anything that's glass.
Yeah.
We find all of our boxes that we use, you know, to put a hasp on and a lock, they're either wood or plastic or, you know, something metal. We've got quite a few different metal boxes.
Okay.
So they have to be durable, because the first event that we ever did with the mobile rooms was a corporate event, and we had a cheap little wood box, and somebody got mad. They'd been drinking for a few hours, and he just threw it on the floor, and the box broke all apart.
Oh,
so
no.
we learned right away.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
For the most part, people are pretty.
Right. But then one of the other things that we do is each room has a organized box that has a replacement lock for everything in the room, or a replacement part that gets lost. You know, there's a spare.
We call them game critical items. It's critical to the playing of the game. We've got a replacement for it with a replacement lock. And, you know, for things that have a unique combination where you can't buy a lock that's like that has the same combination or the same key or whatever, then we have the puzzle that opens the new one already built, and it goes with that lock.
So, you know the directional locks?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't really work to reprogram. We've had them fail a lot.
Yeah.
But people have commented on how they like that we don't use a lot of the same locks. We try to make sure that they get a really good experience with all kinds of different things. And so in that situation, in one of our rooms, instead of changing the combination for a puzzle that has that new lock, the one that I'm thinking of, it's called the camp out, and you actually map where you're going to go visit. And so it gives you the directions using an old style map, which is a lot of fun, especially for kids because they've never even seen one.
Yeah.
But then for the replacement, then in case that lock goes bad or the map gets
ripped
torn
or whatever,
we got a brand new map and a brand new lock.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And so that's one of the things that we've learned is we've got to have those types of things for every room, and it's got to be in the box that goes out when it gets used. And then we also have a sheet for the game masters to write down, hey, this broke, so we can replace it right away and have it ready to go for the next time.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yep. And then each event has a event bag that goes out with it. That's actually a backpack, which has a laptop in it and speakers so that we can play our rules at every event. And it has a bolt cutter and pliers and screwdrivers and extra tape, extra wire, extra screws, whatever we might have come across. It has Band-Aids in it.
Yeah, just whatever.
That's good.
Yeah.
Bolt cutters are the big thing.
Yeah. And so we've learned, you know, that yes, we're mobile, but we still have a lot of the same things that you're going to have in your back room.
Yeah, you just got to be more prudent with the space. You got to bring a backpack instead of a whole room.
Yeah.
Right.
So that actually leads right into like one of my last questions, which is knowing what you know now, what you've learned over the last decade plus of running escape rooms mobily, what advice would you give yourself if you were starting this business over again?
Started 10 years earlier. And get into the supply side of things.
Yeah, I would love to just design games, but now there's so many people doing it. I don't know that it would be worth it. But
if we did it 10 years.
Yeah.
No, it's
I don't know. We have a lot of unique puzzles that other people don't do. So
yeah.
And I don't know. We should have. When somebody copied us, we should have recognized that we need to get owners together in a union type of not like an organized union, but hey, let's come to an understanding that if you don't do a good job, I'm not going to get customers. If I don't do a good job, you're not going to get customers. Let's work together to create a good experience for everybody and a different experience for each room, because we're all in this together. Well, we are in this business because if, how often are you going to spend 30, 40, 50, 60, $100 per person to play if you aren't having a good experience?
Yeah.
You're only going to try it a few times.
Yeah, so my son worked at a escape room here in Orange County, and one of the things that they did is it wasn't like a union like you're saying, like a formalized union like you said. It was just this, they kind of did an exchange program where all of the game masters and people who worked at the escape rooms, they would exchange rooms. So they would switch and go play the other businesses' rooms, just to sort of, idea generate, but not, obviously, you don't go into the room going, all right, I'm stealing all this stuff. It's just like, wow, this is really cool. How could we use a different kind of puzzle or think outside of, what you might think from in terms of electronics or whatever. And I thought that was really neat from a community perspective. I think sharing is really important, and that openness. And also I think it gives you some, just like, you want to do right by the other people because you're both giving already, rather than just, I'm going to steal that idea cold and then just make it my own,
Right.
So it's been kind of neat to see that around here.
Yeah, and that would be fun.
Yeah, and
and whenever we go do an escape room, we tell them, hey, we own mobile escape rooms, and we're not gonna copy anything. We might get some other inspiration though, because yes, you did something that's really cool. Maybe we can incorporate that into a different type of puzzle that we use.
And because we use things that George Washington used for secret messages. It's just that we use it different than he did.
We go back and find different ways that they've done ciphers or something like that, throughout all the years.
Yeah, it's good to know that we're dependent upon each other like very few industries are. If the first escape rooms hadn't done well, there wouldn't have been an industry.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so, like, when we had the fun park, we had a mini golf, and there's mini golfs everywhere, but they're all a little different. And that's the same type of deal with the escape rooms.
Yep.
I should also mention one other thing that we've been doing here lately is, since we're in the schools all the time, when schools call us, we've been getting calls to actually teach their, like, we have what they call J term here. It's either in January or June, where they have 3 weeks and the kids take an extra class. And they've been doing escape rooms, and they bring us in and we teach, and then they play an escape room, and then they build their own.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we'll be doing one in a few weeks where they're going to have us, they're going to play first, then learn, and then build.
That's amazing.
So we're going to, like, I'm going to run the room, and then Barb's going to take that group when they're done and say, okay, here's how you experience this because of this, and this is how we built that puzzle and the elements of it, and leap of logic and all this different stuff.
Because it's a lot of fun to see the kids say, hey, what if we did this, and come up with their own ideas too.
Yep.
So anyway,
that's very cool. So is that something you're doing through the business directly, and they're giving you like is escape room design the concept, or is there a broader subject matter for that?
No, it's an escape room class.
Okay.
But we cover more than just how to make the puzzles. We cover, like, watch how this happens, and if you put this step first, you're going to end up with a problem here. You know what I mean? So we can kind of point them in the right direction so they don't put things kind of in the wrong order, or make it so they can get out early.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, but they're actually coming up with, a lot of the schools give them choices of what do you want, what classes do you want to have? And one of the most popular ones has been escape room development.
That's awesome. I love it. It's even an option.
Yeah. Yeah, we did one that was a high school not far from us, and they had a bunch. They had 100 kids.
Yeah, they
in
had
the
100
class.
kids in the class,
Wow.
which is really good for a small little community that it was in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and we love it sharing the, with the next generation of players and developers.
Yeah.